Schoolteachers, university lecturers, civil servants, rail staff and bus drivers, and border force staff at ports and airports. Unions are today staging the biggest single day of coordinated action for over a decade, with up to 500,000 workers downing tools. Some 23,000 schools have been disrupted, 2/3 of train services have been cancelled on the first day of February, and there are further walkouts planned in the coming weeks, with firefighters and NHS workers in England, Wales and Northern Ireland joining picket lines. A report published by the Trades Union Congress found that the average public sector worker is £203 per month worse off than in 2010. Below inflation pay is a major factor in all of these disputes, with job security, pensions and changes to terms and conditions of concern to rail workers, civil servants and university staff.
This is the Treasury, this is where Jeremy Hunt works, and we're bringing a message to him that his staff are on strike. 100,000 civil servants right across the UK today are on strike because they've been given 2%, the lowest pay offer anywhere in the economy, when inflation is at 10% and food inflation is at 16%.
Things cannot carry on as they are in education at the moment. We cannot carry on with a chronic teacher shortage, which means that millions of children are every day being taught by teachers not teaching in their subject area, being taught repeatedly by supply teachers. A third of teachers leave the profession within 5 years. They are ground down by poor pay and by excessive workloads.
Strikes are planned for every weekday in February, with Wednesday the 8th and Monday the 13th currently the only exceptions. And even the 8th could see Environment Agency workers walking out in a dispute over pay.
Is the country grinding to a halt, Prime Minister?
The government is still resisting union demands for big public sector pay rises, saying it would lead to higher taxes or more borrowing and could fuel inflation.
I am clear that our children's education is precious and they deserve to be in school today being taught. And actually the party opposite would do well to say that the strikes are wrong and we should be backing our school children.
Rallies are also being held across the country today in protest at a government bill demanding minimum service levels in key sectors during industrial action. The strikes bill cleared the Commons last night by a majority of 69 and will now be scrutinised by the Lords. Unions have stated their opposition to the bill, saying it could lead workers who legally vote to strike being sacked.
Well, the government is trying to pass through a spiteful piece of legislation designed to take away the right to strike from millions of workers. And what it hasn't done is published an impact assessment of that legislation about what practical consequences it would have. So we've launched a Freedom of Information request to try and find out why the government hasn't done that. I think the answer is probably quite obvious, because they know the previous advice given to the government on these issues showed that the legislation would make strikes last longer, would exacerbate problems rather than solve them. And so this is a spiteful piece of legislation that I think MPs and members of the House of Lords should reject.
A workforce desperately trying to make ends meet and a government resolute on bringing inflation down means the UK enters the second month of 2023 with little sign of breakthrough on the horizon.